very pleased that Scott and I are going to be doing our first formal bilateral as heads of government up here in Saskatchewan. We want to get this started in my first month as Premier to really deepen the natural alliance between these two great provinces as champions of the resource industries, the Western Canadian economy, jobs and growth. And I suggested to Scott that we do that in the town I grew up in. So we're going up to Wilcox to do our first bilateral, just to signal that we've got in Alberta somebody who understands Saskatchewan. And I wanted to say thank you to Premier Moe, to his cabinet, his MLAs, to former Premier Brad Wall, and to all of you Saskies for having stood alone in the Federation for the last several years as the great defenders of the Western Canadian economy and our resource industries. And now, I'm pleased to tell you that help is on the way.
I would just add to that, with respect to the last number of months, we are starting to see some change across this nation, and I think what has happened in Alberta here over the course of just the last few months with the election of Premier Kenney, a good Saskatchewan boy, and welcome home. This is quite telling with respect to our nation and with respect to, I think, many of our hardworking families across Canada starting to realize just exactly what it is that is creating wealth for our families. And it is industries like agriculture. It's industries like the energy industry, the manufacturing industries that support those, what I call wealth generating industries. And you're right, Premier Kenney, it has been lonely at times. I remember distinctly a conversation I had with former Premier Brad Wall, where I had told him, and I mentioned this upstairs, I'd said, Premier, the loneliest table in this nation is to be the Saskatchewan Environment Minister when you go to a federal provincial environment ministers meeting. I said, nobody likes me there. And he just looked right back at me, he never cracked a grin, and he said, you should try being Premier.
Which you did.
So I listened to him.